know where the problem is, where the gaps are. Is there anyone with another question? Yes. Guys, please, let's be together. Let's allow our friends to express themselves, eh?
Here's the question, and this question goes like this. They say that the vaccine changes the DNA of a human being. Is it true or false?
Okay. The vaccine changes the DNA of a human being. Okay, they'll answer that for us. There's another question here.
Even also I add that when they inject you, it's like they're putting a map in your first arm, so that it was also showing that in the map on the technology that the dot. That is it can also make that every people to die, everyone. That is what I.
Okay. So he's heard that when you are injected, it's like they are putting a map in you, and then mulangiza manje tuma dot wangaku fine. Okay, let's hear some more views. Those who have not been vaccinated yet, why haven't we been vaccinated? What's stopping you from getting that vaccine?
According to what I've heard and what I saw, to me, I heard that the vaccine is only a strategy in order to minimize or to get rid of population increase in Africa.
Excuse me, guys. We are here to respect one another. And if our friend is contributing, please let us pay attention. It is only fair, because when you are speaking, we're also giving you that audience. So please, let's minimize on the mini meetings that we are having. Thank you. Yes, others? What are some of the rumors that you've heard that are stopping you from getting vaccinated? We've heard of different family issues. Microphone over there.
Okay, as for me, I was taught to say, if at all you get vaccinated, it means you are going to have the mark of the beast, just like John the Revelator wrote in the Bible that the things have been fulfilled day by day. So I'm scared because I don't want to have the mark of the beast.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your honesty as well. Let's be honest. Let's just say, in a sinifuna because Nambela, so. Let's just be honest. So the question has also been posted online. So for the people that are watching, those that have joined us online, feel free to answer online, and we'll be able to read some of the answers that you're giving us. So why are most young people not getting the COVID-19 vaccine? That's our question. Yes, please go ahead, and then we'll take that other hand and this one.
Okay, yeah. So for me, generally, I feel that the coronavirus is recent. We've had HIV virus for a very long time, and still people haven't found the cure for it. And then we have the COVID-19, which just came about so recent, and all of a sudden there's a vaccine for it. So I just feel like there's a lot of research that has to take place, and I don't trust the vaccine.
Thank you for your honesty. So while the microphone is going over there, I'll give her.
I feel there are a lot of myths surrounding COVID vaccines. So a lot of young people doesn't have enough information. Instead, we so much rush to social media where there are these lies. I think there was even a video that was trending in Nigeria where almost all the pupils ran away from their class when they had given. So I think we just need to clear the myths out there. And I've had the vaccine for almost a year now. and I haven't had even the symptoms. I didn't have any, but they are there because we react differently. So I feel there's still a gap for us to fill in.
Thank you so much. And I absolutely agree with her. When I got my vaccine, I went with my sisters. They reacted differently, and I didn't react at all. So, body type, sign. Kuhusiana siana kwa mibidi.
Okay,
Yes, go ahead.
As for me, I heard that when you are vaccinated against COVID, but it turns into malaria. So I saw no need for me to get vaccinated, and I have another disease after that. And like she said, HIV has been here for a long time, and they haven't found any cure for HIV. Then COVID-19 just comes, and boom, there's a vaccine. So I saw that there was some myth there.
Thank you so much for sharing. Any other people? There's a hand over there, and another one over there. There's a hand here. So while the microphone is going there, I'll allow her to speak.
Yes, thank you for according me this opportunity. Me being deaf from the deaf community, I do fear to get this job. Why? Because when I go there at the hospital, they haven't explained to us the importance of this job which I will get. If I do I get the job, am I supposed to drink beer or anything like that? So we do miss information about COVID-19. So most of the time, the person with disability, the deaf to be specific, we haven't gotten the job. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. You can go ahead.
Okay, I am vaccinated, but I've heard this thing that the young people, they are not at the high risk of getting the virus. That's the reason why they are shying away from getting the injection. They are saying that we are not at high risk of getting the virus. So the elderly people are the ones who are supposed to get the virus because they are the ones who are at the high risk.
Okay, thank you so much. There was another hand in blue somewhere here. Yes, huh?
Okay. The reason as to why I failed to do COVID vaccine is because I've heard people who've had it saying when you have COVID vaccine, you will have rashes on your body and others tend to get sick.
Thank you so much. Was there another hand? Okay, so you can take the microphone there.
I normally add that the government, the way they bought the COVID-19 issue for vaccine, they people they used to say that now we can see that 6-6 is real, like satanism, 6-6 is real. So because you find that if you are not vaccinated, you don't have a card. Because I heard the minister when he was saying that if you are not vaccinated or have any proof of a vaccination, you will not be allowed to enter in the shop or to enter in the hospital, yes, or to get a job. That is how people they used to say that 6-6 is real, and you are forcing people to get vaccinated, but wow, they don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There was a hand there.
The reason why I didn't get vaccinated is that there's a certain video that I saw on social media where Americans were dying instantly. Even if the teacher is teaching in front, it will just collapse. So that increases the fear of me being injected.
All right, thank you so much. You can give her, yes. So just before you, LPHO team, LPHO team, you are needed for your t-shirts. I don't know if the team is in here. You can go ahead with your question.
Okay, my point is also similarly the same to the point that, okay, the point that was given this other side about the certificates that they are given. I've heard a rumor that they say that you're not going to be allowed in shops and everything, things like that. And they are sort of making it seem as if it's a forcing thing. No wonder why people are saying this is all about 666 and the mark of the beast. And also, there was a video that I also saw online. It was a meeting for Bill Gates and other high members of officials there in America. They were saying about eliminating the black people. That us, we have a high number of population here in Africa, and they need to create something that will be able to at least lessen the number. So I was thinking that the vaccine was created to actually kill black people. That's what I was thinking. That was my thought.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me just read a few comments from our online community, those that have joined us online. So young people are too active. Most young people don't have BP. Older people with BP and other sicknesses have high risks of getting COVID. Young people are still energetic and their immunity is actively strong. So that's from Jaden Mukata. Our next comment from Betha Misozi Piri. So Betha says, most people are associating the vaccine with the mark of the beast, which is 666, which most people have said here. Hence the reason why most young ones are not getting the vaccine. Young people need to be given adequate information on the benefits of getting the jab. Adrian Chikanga says most of the people are scared because even after getting the COVID vaccine, people are still getting sick and dying. Rebecca B. Alex says we are not getting the COVID vaccine because of the deadly effects it brings afterwards. Grace Nancy Presh Mickelson says, when one has type 1 and type 2 HIV, how do you control the situation? Okay, so those are some of the comments that we've gotten from our online community. Thank you so much for those that are actively participating. Feel free to add your voice by leaving a comment and answering the question, why are most young people not getting the COVID-19 vaccine? Okay, so Kanyanta Grace Kanyika says, this is because we young people do not have enough information about the vaccine. The information given to us isn't enough to convince us to get vaccinated, seeing we have a lot of rumors about the vaccine. So we can see that a lot of people have mixed feelings about the vaccine, including ourselves in here, isn't it? We've heard from a lot of young people here as to why they are not getting the vaccine. Okay, so are you ready? Ministry of Health, are you ready? Thank you. So he'll just explain a few things to us. Sign.
Hello? For me, I didn't just want to get vaccinated because I don't understand why the vaccine is not a cure, but it just reduces the risk of you getting infected. And there were a lot of misconception that came out, and we saw a lot of side effects from people, those who were vaccinated. So I'm still doubting why they created a vaccine that is not a cure, but it reduces only the chances. Now we are seeing people being boosted. So I don't understand the agenda behind why they don't create a vaccine that's just going to cure once and for all.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate the feedback we are getting. One thing for sure is the COVID vaccine is not the first vaccine we've had in Zambia, not so. We've had a lot of vaccines which have been which Ministry of Health have been administering since some time back. We have BCG, we have polio vaccines, and these vaccines, they always come with meat. Am I lying? Yeah? They always come with meat, just like COVID vaccine. So we will still be hearing a lot of things about the vaccine. We have advantages of this COVID vaccine, which outweighs the disadvantages. How many of us have been vaccinated, by the way, here? And we are a lot. Can you inform us about the advantages of the vaccine? What advantages have you found in the vaccine? Yes, there.
Okay, from what has been said or from what I was taught,
From your experience.
From my experience.
Yes, yes.
Okay, the thing is that the time I got the vaccine,
Yes.
I didn't experience anything like the headache, the lashes, and so forth. I didn't experience anything. And people say that when you get the vaccine, you die. I'm still alive here, I'm breathing. That's my advantage. And from there, I've been testing for COVID-19. I've never been found positive. Sure.
The 666 thing.
Okay, this thing of the mark of the beast.
Yes.
Indeed, it's not the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast will come, not the way the vaccine has come, but it will come in the sense that, for real, it will come in the sense that it will even show itself to say, this is the mark of the beast.
Okay. There. Yes.
Okay. My name is Graham Bewe. Me, I'm fully vaccinated.
Wonderful.
And I got AstraZeneca, which is first dose, second dose, and I also got the booster. So the advantages that I have is that at least I know that I'm safe, and I've protected myself and my family. Because all these myths that we hear to say, okay, someone who got vaccinated is initiated into 666 or Satanism. Personally, for me, it's a myth. Because if I'm initiated, I'm sure I would have seen where going to any marketplace or any facility where I go, I'm sure they would have asked for a card, for the vaccine card. But I've been accessing the facilities without being questioned of a card or anything. So personally, yes, quite all right. Like the first dose, I had some side effects like the body pains, which was manageable. And I also got the second dose, which was not that bad than the first one. The third dose, still I never had any problem. I never had any challenge. So which I know that the COVID vaccine is safer for me, especially for me as a person living with HIV. Thank you.
You're welcome. There.
Okay, me, I have a question. So, from those people who are vaccinated, like,
Okay, for now, we want to hear experiences from those who have been vaccinated. So you ask your question later.
myself, I'm vaccinated, the J&J vaccine. The reason why I got vaccinated was the same reason he's given. Because people who are living with HIV or any other chronic illnesses, they are at high risk of, let me just say, their immunity are compromised. So we are at high risk of getting infected with COVID. So that was one of the reasons why I got vaccinated on time. And then my experience was, because J&J, you only get vaccinated once. A bit nauseous. I felt as if I had malaria, but it was just for a day. Then after that, I didn't feel anything. And then I think I should actually say, working from a healthy sector, I'm always in contact with people who are tested positive to COVID, but I've never tested positive to COVID. Yes, till now. And then I think myths are always there, but the truth of the matter is the vaccine is effective. There's nothing like, yes, quite all right, you might be vaccinated and test positive, but believe you me, it will never hit you as bad as if you're not vaccinated. If you are not vaccinated, trust me, you find yourself to ICU or anything, but if you are vaccinated, you don't even get to experience anything. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Get vaccinated.
There is the hand. Let's go. Okay.
Okay, for the vaccination, you say it, for those, I think now we've actually divided to say it's more like HIV. Not everyone would want to get vaccinated. And I mean, not everyone would want to get tested, but we still have to get tested. Then when we talk about the vaccine, it's more like the world has been divided. 50% is waiting for those people who are vaccinated to die. Then 50% is also waiting for those people who are not vaccinated to die. So it's a 50-50 situation. Then for those who are vaccinated, like they say, the immune differs. For those who are HIV positive are at high risk, but it does, what do I want to say? Yes, as in like, we differ with the immune. Others would react in a different way. They'll get sick and whatnot, but we're divided in 50-50, just like HIV. It's just now a pandemic as HIV was.
There. Don't worry, we'll come even that side. Don't worry, sir. We'll come even that side.
Yeah, okay. So, talking on the advantages of getting the COVID-19 vaccine, me personally, I got vaccinated in 2021. That was somewhere in May. Before I got vaccinated, there were some myths which were like, no, when you get vaccinated, your hand will be swollen. You cannot do anything with that hand which was jabbed, but that's false. Me, the day I got vaccinated, quite right, I felt like I have COVID. Same COVID, I had COVID before. So the same way I was feeling the time I had COVID, it's the same way I felt the day I was vaccinated. The same symptoms, headache and the like, that's what I felt. So I thought like, I've got COVID, but that was just for a day and just for some hours. And then the advantage which I got from the time I got vaccinated, every time I come in touch with someone who was exposed to COVID, I can just get a flu for some hours. Then when I just reach home, it goes. Just like that. So me, what I can just say, getting vaccinated is very important. It's effective. Let's not follow the myths, but let's follow the health guidelines which says we have to get vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you. That side, sir. The one who was complaining there. Yes.
Thank you. Steve is my name. Unfortunately, sir, I would ask you to not use the word complain. I think this is an area for dialogue, and people should be allowed to express themselves without being labeled complainant or whatever that is.
Sorry for that, sir.
So
Sorry.
I'm not just saying this to you. It happened even yesterday. The people that were moderating were more focused on that end. Now, we have more people coming from different parts of this country and other parts, other countries as well. So if you just focus on one end, you're not going to get diverse views. Okay. Coming to the vaccine. So I got my vaccine sometime last year, the first, the J&J. So yesterday during tea break, I got my jab for the booster right here. When you look at all of us here, when we were born, up until maybe the age of 5, we received various vaccines. And that is why we are here. So why now should we have all manner of myths as to what vaccines can do? Why did you get the BCG? Of course, you're not able to make your own decision. Your parents or the healthcare provider at the time made that decision for you. But all those vaccines were meant to prevent you from getting those diseases that would have otherwise taken your life maybe before you even reach 5. What am I saying? There is no harm in taking the vaccine. Whatever information we have, 6, whatever, why are we still here? Why haven't we died? So, gentlemen and ladies, those of us that are here representing various provinces and districts, this is our take-home message. Advise people to access the vaccine. There's no harm because we are here, we're not dying anytime soon. Until that time when it comes, Jesus calls us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, there.
Okay, my name is Purity Mafunga, coming from Copperbelt Kitwe. I got vaccinated this year, and before getting my vaccination, most people be like, after 5 years, you're going to die after. So I can say that there are a lot of myths surrounding the COVID-19 vaccination. Other people will tell you if you put your phone where you've been vaccinated, it'll be there more like a magnet. So I got vaccinated. People, they react differently to the vaccination. I, for one, my hand was paining the entire day. I had a bit of head paining, but after some time, I was okay. Last year, I was diagnosed with COVID-19, but ever since I got the COVID-19 vaccination, flu has ceased as well as coughing. So that has been an advantage for me personally.
All right, thank you. We get one from here. There.
Okay, I'll start from my experience when I got the COVID vaccine. I was advised when I got the vaccine that I'll face all the symptoms of COVID. Some I may face, some I may not face. So even when I got the COVID vaccine, I expected to have that side effects of COVID vaccine. So which I did. I had a flu and a headache. But I was told that once I get the vaccine, since I already have COVID in it, that the vaccine, it's a COVID virus which can't attack my body, which is just saves me, my immune system, to have a history that I had COVID. So even if I have COVID now, next time I have COVID, my body system will react, say, okay, this disease, we have to fight it like this manner. So that was the advantage which I was told, like, once I got the COVID vaccine.
Thank you. Another one from this there.
I would say the reason why I got a COVID-19 vaccine is because I've stayed with someone who had COVID-19 before, and the reaction or the effect of the COVID, it wasn't that good. Yes, my uncle almost died because of it, and he wasn't vaccinated. So when he was healed, he went and got a vaccine, and it was last year. So last year I wasn't eligible to get a vaccine, but I really wanted it because I saw how COVID is. So when they bought this for 12 years, and I went and got the vaccine. So right now I know to say I'll experience I can have COVID, but I can't die, and it can't affect me like how my uncle was. So that's the reason why I got the vaccine. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And what has been your experience since you got the vaccine? Your experience since you got the vaccine?
This time around, I don't have flus that much, and coughing, it's this time around, I feel I'm okay. Because, you know, once I travel, I would get flus all the time. But this time around, I don't get that. Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. We get the last one from, okay, the far end there.
Thank you very much. For me, I was once tested COVID positive. I was very asymptomatic. So the reason why I got the vaccine was so that I could just have the freedom to travel, because I thought they would make having a COVID-19 vaccine a requirement to travel from one place to another. So my experience with after I got vaccinated is still the same, because even when I tested COVID positive, I wasn't very sick. I was still well. So even up to now, I'm still okay. So I can say I just got it to have the freedom to travel around.
All right, thank you very much. Sorry. No, I'm sure we'll end from there. Okay, we get one more there.
Okay, for me, I got vaccinated because we were told we were not supposed to enter some offices and also go for work if you are not vaccinated. So that forced me, though it wasn't because I decided, but because of my work, I did that. But then after getting vaccinated, I had some symptoms, like I have COVID. And I would say it was not easy to encourage others because even those that were vaccinated still got COVID. So it was as if there's no point for you to get vaccinated if you can still get the COVID. So I think that was my contribution for me.
Okay. We take one more hand at the back. Yes. The last one at the back.
Okay, my name is Kelvin Munonga. I'm coming from Choma. So my experience wasn't really bad, but the issue is like this. When you get vaccinated, it doesn't mean that you the virus again. Hello, can you hear me now? So the issue is like this. When you get vaccinated, it doesn't mean that you won't contract the virus again. But the virus will still attack you, but it won't be so severe compared to someone who's not vaccinated. So you bear in mind that vaccinated, the attack won't be so severe. So for those who are not vaccinated, trust me, the attack will be so severe which can even lead to death. I think there's need of clarity on that one. And furthermore, there's also a lot of rumors which have been going around, especially with people living with HIV and AIDS. Those people, they've been misled in so many ways that once you get that job, your immune system will become so weak. Due to that, your immune system is already weak, and now it will become so vulnerable. I think there is need of clarity on that one and creating awareness to our community, because most of the people who are living with HIV and AIDS, they've been misled in so many ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've heard various experiences, and after hearing about that, for those who are not vaccinated, do you still say the vaccine is here to cure us? Is the vaccine here to kill us? So why are you not still vaccinated? We've heard divergent views from people who are vaccinated, and none of them has told us that it almost killed them or something really bad happened to them. I like the last point there where the man in yellow said, when you get the vaccine, it does not mean that the virus won't attack you. It will attack you, but the attack will be minimal compared to the one who is not vaccinated. We've had people come into the clinic several times complaining, I got the vaccine, but why? I've tested positive. Why have I tested positive? I got the vaccine 2 weeks ago. So the thing is, the vaccine does not necessarily prevent you from getting the virus. It prevents you from getting seriously ill. So that's the thing. Get vaccinated. We have come with the vaccines here. For those who are not vaccinated, please get the vaccine. Even for you who are not vaccinated, who are vaccinated, I mean, when you go to your various places, you please disseminate the information. You know how safe the vaccine is. It's not here to kill anyone. It's here to protect all of us. I'm sure it's clear, not so? Still not clear? We have a hand here. Yes. Okay, due to time, if you still have questions, we're outside there. We are administering the same vaccine. So if you still have questions, you can still come and ask us there before you get vaccinated or anything to do with the vaccine. Thank you very much.
A huge round of applause to our Ministry of Health colleagues for that incredibly insightful session. I see we've got quite a lot of interaction going on social media. So Rosario Malama has a question on COVID-19 and vaccines. Is it safe to get a vaccination? How safe it is? Rosaria, I believe that we can respond to you in text, but yes, the vaccine is safe. It's gone through at least 3 clinical trials, and it's proven efficacy in all 3 clinical trials. If you get vaccinated, you won't get sick of COVID. Jaden, I can tell you myself, I've been double vaccinated and I caught Omicron in December. I was sick for 2 days and I had a whole recovery after 2 days. So dramatically reduced my symptoms. My recovery time was in 3 days. I was perfectly fine. Got my first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine in April 2021. Not scared of getting vaccines, but getting vaccinated is the right thing to do. Many people are not getting vaccinated because of conspiracy theories, especially from some religious groupings. Twombo, that's a really great point. I think we do need to talk about disinformation and misinformation that is being spread, not just by the religious community, but by other communities, and how we counter disinformation and misinformation, not just on vaccines, but also on SRH services. We've heard some communities speaking out against the use of condoms, saying that it puts worms in people's vaginas and does all sorts of weird things. And it's up to us to dispel some of these myths and some of these contradictions and fake news. But that being said, once again, a huge thanks to the Ministry of Health for coming out and speaking to us on vaccines. If you'd like more information on vaccinations and if you'd like to possibly get vaccinated, please feel free to see the Ministry of Health table outside. I think they're also doing COVID screenings and COVID testing, but you can just go outside to confirm. We are awaiting the arrival of the minister at 11 o'clock for the morning plenary session. But between now and then, I would suggest that we break for tea for 20 minutes, and then we reconvene at 10:30, so 10:30, in this room to get a presentation and interact with PEPFAR. Are we all good? Yeah, all good? So you can all rise and go to the tea coffee stations, and we'll be back here at 10:30. Thank you very much. infections, PEPFAR's Zambian Adolescent and Young People Strategy. We're privileged to have Emily Burrows, who will be leading on the presentation, and she will also give us some guidance on some group work and interaction that we'll be doing with PEPFAR during the course of today. So if we could settle down and please give Emily our fullest attention. Emily, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. It's really nice to be here today. It's great to see so many happy faces, people who are excited to talk to us about the services that we provide through PEPFAR. Before we get started, can I just get an update on internet? Internet? We have it? I'll get started in a second. Yeah, I will. How many of you are connected to the internet, could get on the internet right now? How many of you, raise your hand if you can get on the Wi-Fi? Internet? One? Only one person?
From what I hear, people need passwords, yes? Need Wi-Fi passwords? Okay. We will have the Wi-Fi password very shortly.
All right, well, let me get started because I believe the Minister of Health is coming again this morning, so I don't want to delay things. I'm really excited to be here today, and I wanted to kickstart the... First, let me introduce myself. Hello. Hi.
Colleagues, please settle down. Let's respect Emily, and let's respect our colleagues at PEPFAR and the time that they've taken out to give us this presentation. Please settle down. Colleagues who are still entering the back of the hall, please make your way. Find a seat. Can we all settle down now? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really pleased to be here today. My name is Emily Burrows, and I work for PEPFAR Coordination Office at the U.S. Embassy. I support programs that are focused on the needs of adolescents and young people, as well as a program called DREAMS. Has anyone heard of DREAMS? If you've heard of DREAMS, raise your hand. Who's heard of DREAMS? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Woo! Who's heard of DREAMS? Great. Okay, so I work with a number of my colleagues at PEPFAR on the DREAMS program, and I'm programming for adolescents and young people. Hello? Yep. All right, can folks hear me now? Okay, I sound very loud to myself, so apologies. Okay, great. So for those who may not know what PEPFAR is the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. And for the past 19 years, PEPFAR has supported countries around the world, like Zambia, working in partnership with the Zambian government to fight HIV. We've prevented new HIV infections and treated HIV through antiretroviral drugs. I'm really happy to share with you today our strategy to prevent new infections among adolescents and young people and ensure that all HIV positive young people know their HIV status, are linked to treatment, and are virally suppressed. So before we introduce our strategy, I wanted to actually engage you throughout this presentation. Unfortunately, it seems that the Wi-Fi is not cooperating. So we're going to have to proceed without the interactive component, but I am going to pause from time to time. Sorry. I am going to pause from time to have you reflect on a few questions before jumping to the next slide. So the way I wanted to start it today, though, was to ask all of you, what's one word that describes yourself as a young person? What's the best word you can think of to describe yourself? Any volunteers? Shout it out. Brave. Excellent. Resilient. I love it. Yes. Determination. Anyone? Go ahead. Let's hear from a young man. Huh? He's an experiment. Okay, great. Another one. Innovative. Yes. Energetic. Let's hear from another young man out there. Creative. Let's give 3 more. Who else? Yes, young lady. Again? I can't hear. AIDS free. That's awesome. Great. Good. Another one. Let's hear from someone else. Yes, please go ahead. Courageous. Wonderful. And I'll go to this side of the room. Let's go to the young woman in pink. Ambitious. I love it. So I think what this tells us is that there's some really great young people in this room, and it's so great to have your energy, your passion here to help us solve really challenging issues related to HIV. So thanks all for being here today. So for those of you who cannot get on the internet and might have cellular data and are interested in using it, if you can go to, we're going to see if this works, slido.com, SLIDO.com. And you're going to enter the password Indaba. Is that good? We'll see if this works, and if it doesn't, we'll improvise. Great. I'll give everybody a few seconds to sort that out. How's it going? Is anybody connected? You are? We're gonna go ahead, give you a few more, like another second or so, and then we'll move ahead because the password is on every one of the poll slides that I'll show you today. Good? Oopsie. All right. So before speaking at you, I want to hear from you. And I'd like to talk about the risks and the barriers that adolescents and young people face in relation to HIV, and also sexual and reproductive health services. But let's talk about HIV. Here's your first question. Now, if you look at your phone, if you've connected, you'll see a few questions. And here's the question. Do you think you are at risk of getting HIV? Okay, so we can start seeing what people are saying up here. So far we have 13 respondents, and 85% of you think you're at risk of getting HIV. 15% don't think they are. I'll give you a few more answers, or a few more seconds to respond. You know what? This is going to be open all day as well, so you can get on any time of the day and respond to these questions if you haven't yet. So don't worry if you can't get on right now. You can always come back to this throughout the day. Okay, so we have 24 respondents so far telling us that they do think they're at risk of getting HIV, and 33% don't think they are, and 4% say, I'm not really sure. I don't know if I'm at risk. So forgive me for the next slide, but it's the data slide, okay? So let's start with the really, really great news. And the first thing is that we know that there's been a huge decrease in new HIV infections between 2010 and 2021 by almost 10,000 adolescents and young people between the ages of 15 and 24. That's fantastic. However, we have a bit of a challenge on our hands. We know that there's a growing population of adolescents and young people and children in this country, a huge growth in this population. And so what we're seeing is that of those 14,611 new infections among adolescents and young people, they make up 40% of all new infections in Zambia last year. So adolescents and young people do face risks related to HIV infection. And unfortunately, young women have a higher risk of HIV infection. So among this 14,611 who got HIV last year, an estimated 78% were adolescent girls and young women. And that's a really startling statistic. So we want to talk a little bit more about what some of the risks are that you face. So here come our next questions. And like I said, if you can't get on right now, don't worry about it. You can come back to this slide throughout the day, the presentation, or the poll throughout the day. Here's our first question or statement. I can ask my boyfriend or girlfriend to use a condom. Yes? No? Sometimes. I don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Or it could be husband or wife. I don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Sometimes you can. 86% say yes. That's great news. Fantastic. All right, here's our next question. We talked a lot about PrEP yesterday. Do you know where to access PrEP in your community? Yes? Who says yes? Everyone? Let's see. No, I don't know where to find PrEP. Someone said, what's PrEP? And someone said, no, or PrEP isn't, no one has said yet, PrEP is not available in my community. So that's great. 88% of 44 people have know where they can get PrEP in their community. That's fantastic news. So why is this important? Because we know that using condoms and taking PrEP, like Lucy told us yesterday, our Dreams mentor who provided opening remarks, we know that these two prevention methods are really effective in preventing HIV. However, of 35% of girls and young women between the ages of 15 and 24, and this is in Zambia, only 35% used a condom with someone who was not their boyfriend or partner. So that maybe indicates that some young people don't feel comfortable asking their sexual partner or their partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, to use a condom during sex. All right, here comes our next questions. How many sexual partners have you had in the past 3 months? You do not need to shout that out. All right, let's see. 1. Okay. You can change your response if you make a mistake, and there's no judgment in this at all, okay? There's no judgment if you've had 4 partners, 1 partner, no partners. We're not here to judge anyone. Don't be shouting out your answer. I'm not sure you want to share with everyone. Okay. All right, next. It's pretty good. I would say 1 sexual partner. All right, now, of all of those if you had a sexual partner, whether that was 1 sexual partner, 5 sexual partners, 2 people you had sex with in the last month, did you use a condom on every single occasion? No. Oh, no. No. Okay. Great. Okay, so 43%, the majority of people are saying no, they did not use a condom on every single occasion they had sex with every one of those partners. And some people said sometimes. Okay, here we go. So here's the thing. We know that the more sexual partners a person has, the more likely they are to have a sexual partner who has HIV or an STI, a sexually transmitted infection, like syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, okay? And those things put you at risk. So not using a condom, especially if you have more sexual partners than 1, is putting people at risk of HIV. We still good? Are you a little bit concerned that not everyone's using condoms? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, next question. Do you feel you can say no to your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife if you're married, if he or she pressures you to have sex? Do you feel you can say no if your boyfriend or girlfriend, so your regular partner, pressures you to have sex? Yes. Lois says yes. Okay, my colleague Lois says she can. Okay. It depends on the situation. And some people say they can't. Okay. Great. All right, let's go to the next question. This one's it's kind of the same, but a little bit different. All right. Do you feel you can say no to anyone who pressures you to have sex? Yes? I love it. Good. Great. We have some very courageous and brave and determined and resilient young women in the crowd. I heard a lot of women saying yes. Great. Some people, however, say they can't. And some people say it depends. I'll give a few more time to respond. All right, here comes our next. So, here's a really unfortunate fact. That young women's experience of sexual violence undermines their ability to say no to safe sex, to negotiate safe sex. If someone's exposed to physical violence or sexual violence or pressure or coercion, they don't feel like they can say no to sex. And that puts young people at risk of HIV. So 27%, if you're a 15 to 19-year-old girl in this room, this applies to you. So in a survey, it said 27% of adolescent girls and young women experienced physical or sexual violence from a partner in the past year. That puts young people at risk. Okay. It's a sad fact. Very sad. All right, so I'm just getting my notes up, guys. Okay. So I think what this tells us is that a lot of adolescents and young people face different situations, different challenges, different risks. Not all, but some have real challenges saying no to sex, to using a condom, to feel confident asking to use a condom during sex. And that's something that we need to work on together. We also know that adolescents and young people, because we've heard from you over the past day, have trouble or difficulty seeking HIV prevention and treatment services. So why aren't young people accessing HIV prevention services or ART at health facilities? Why aren't they going for family planning services? Why aren't they showing up to access condoms or PrEP and using them regularly? So my question to you now is, and this is an open-ended, so you're going to write your own response. What prevents or discourages you from accessing HIV and sexual and reproductive health services? Anything. What prevents you, if you are at risk of getting HIV, from going to your health facility and saying, I'd like to access PrEP. How can I start using PrEP? What prevents you from going to a pharmacy and asking for condoms? What prevents you, if you're on ART, from continuing treatment? So what are some of the things that discourage you from accessing these services? And we're starting to see some answers. We'd love to see more. I think this is it's really important to understand the challenges that young people face so we can better support your needs. So some people are saying they feel shy. Healthcare providers aren't necessarily very friendly to them. They may judge them. They may scold them for coming in to ask for condoms if they're young in particular. People are scared of being judged. Here's an issue. There's a shortage of commodities sometimes. There's a shortage of HIV testing kits. We know that happened during COVID. There was a shortage of HIV self-testing kits across the country. There's stigma and discrimination. People from the health sector judge. People are concerned about privacy. Some people aren't aware of their health rights. The distance is too far. Their culture and their religion prevents them from feeling comfortable asking and demanding the services they need and feel comfortable doing that. I love the person who can get anything freely. That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. It's great to see that some people don't have these barriers, but we know that a lot of people do. And those are sometimes self-imposed barriers, the pressure we put on ourselves or the expectations, and they might be from outside of us. All right. So we know that this is a really big stigma, and discrimination are a really large and significant challenge for a lot of adolescents and young people who want to seek HIV health services. And what I'm showing right now are two quotes from a young woman and a young man who are accessing ART at a health facility. One of them said, "I feel uncomfortable going. I feel like I'm the only person. I feel isolated, alone, and like I'm not a human being." That's a real challenge. It's someone who's struggling with their identity and with their HIV status, and it prevents them from seeking services they need. Another young woman said that she feels like people look at her and said, "Positive at your age?" And she feels like that people think she might be a prostitute because she has HIV. So these are real issues, stigma and discrimination, that we know affect adolescents and young people. Okay, this is my last question for all of you, but remember, you can come back to the survey throughout the day. What percentage of young people who have HIV know that they are positive? So if there's 100 people who have HIV, how many of those people know they are HIV positive? And this is, again, among adolescents and young people, so from the age of 15 to 24. What do you all think? It'll pop up on the next slide, sorry, it'll come. Somebody shout out, what do you think? You guys are too smart. Wow, okay, so 83% of you are correct. If we had 100 adolescents and young people standing right here at the front of the room who are HIV positive, only 75 people would know their HIV status. And that's a problem, because people who don't know their status are potentially infecting others, as you know. People who don't know their status need to be on treatment and virally suppressed so they can prevent new infections among others. And also, we want to find adolescents and young people and test them, so even if they're positive or negative, they can access the prevention services that they need, like PrEP. Okay, so I was warned against showing this slide by a few people in this room, but this is what we usually call the HIV cascade. And some people have seen it. But what this basically tells us is that of the 75% of adolescents and young people in Zambia who are positive, 75% know their HIV positive status. However, only 75% of those are on ART. So 74% of these people who know their status are on treatment. So that means there's a number of people who have either started treatment and stopped, or have never been linked to treatment. And then finally, of all of those people who are on ART, on treatment regularly and consistently, only 70% are virally suppressed. That means, does anyone know what viral suppression means? Who can tell me? Who can share with the group? Yes, way in the back. Please go ahead. Sure, or I can give you my microphone. Someone can pass her a mic. Great. So what does viral load suppression mean? Why is that important for adolescents and young people and all people who have HIV?
Okay, what I mean for someone to be viral load suppression, it means when your HIV virus becomes 0, or maybe when your HIV is U equals, which is suppression. Undetectable, yes, because they've said viral suppression. Yep. And then the other thing, what she is asking, the person who is viral suppression is one person who is always taking their medicine on time and make sure they are trying to manage up their balanced food as well. Yep.
All right, does anybody else want to add? You've got some really good information in there. To be virally suppressed, you do need to take your medication consistently, on time, at the right time. So but what does it mean to be, sorry.
It's funny that you asked this question, because yesterday UNAIDS had unpacked.
We can't hear you.
So yesterday UNAIDS had unpacked what U equals U means.
Yep.
And they'd spoken about the milliliters of blood and cells replicating, so it's a good test.
Okay.
Who was paying attention?
So who was paying attention yesterday? In the back of the room, I'm sorry to make the person with the mic run, the man in the yellow, the young man. Oh, we're going to go here. Okay.
Virus suppression is when the virus is not detected in the blood. For example, like 50.
Oh, okay.
Give her time to speak.
Go ahead. Can we let her finish? Though she's talking. Let's let her finish. Were you finished? All right. Let's ask Dr. Meg.
Excuse me, can you please give her time to speak?
Yes, let her speak.
Yes, when the virus is not detected in the blood. For example, if you have 50 to 70 HIV viruses in the blood, then it is not detected.
Great. And over here, let's have one other person speak for us. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, virus suppress, like we learned yesterday, the blood, we have the liters in the blood. For example, if I tell you have 40 to 70, meaning you cannot contract the virus, you cannot give it to the other person, you cannot transfer it to the other person. But if I tell you have 1,000 plus, therefore meaning your viral load is
okay.
detected.
So I'm going to move on because I don't want to get in the way of the minister. I'm sorry, it's okay. We'll talk. Come to our HIV treatment group with Dr. Meg in the back right there, and we'll talk about viral load suppression. All right, great. So viral load suppression means when the virus is undetectable in you, it's untransmittable to somebody else. So it's so important to be virally suppressed, to get tested for your viral load, so you know that you're virally suppressed, and you can you don't you campaign as well. So if you have questions, we'll follow up. All right, so what are we doing? I'd mentioned that I come from the PEPFAR coordination office at the US Embassy. So what is PEPFAR doing in partnership with the government of Zambia and the many implementing partners we have, like Checkup, who's here providing HIV testing services, like the ZIA campaign, who's here talking about PrEP with all of you? What are we doing to support reach and support adolescents and young people? So our strategy, and I know this looks really complicated and it's awfully hard to read right here, but our strategy begins with recognizing that all of you are very, very diverse, that you have different needs, you have different identities and experiences. So if we look at this circle, it says a number of different things, and all of these identities shape who you are as a person and make you, and what's the word I'm looking for? Make you unique. You need different services, you have different interests, you have different risks, you have different vulnerabilities, you have different attitudes and behaviors. And all of this is shaped by, for example, your HIV status, where you live. You may not be able, in an urban area or a rural area, you may not have the same access to services. Your education level, if you're out of school, you may not have access to things like comprehensive sexuality education. You're not sure how to get the information about HIV or sexuality. For some of you, you may have disabilities that prevent you from getting to a health facility. You may feel that leaves you very open because you don't feel like your conversations with healthcare workers are confidential. So I think there's a lot of different things here that make all of you incredibly unique. And so our strategy and your social networks, and figure out however you define yourself, wherever you come from, whatever your experience is, how do we meet those specific needs? So like I said, this kind of reiterates the last slide, but one size does not fit all. My colleague Dre, who's up here videoing me, will not have the same needs as I do. My 14-year-old daughter will not have the same needs as my 16-year-old son. They're different people, they have different experiences and different relationships. So based on all this diversity amongst all of you, we know one size doesn't fit all. A young person who's blind, as I mentioned, will have difficulties, barriers accessing services. A young man living on his own for the first time, going off to university, who doesn't have his parents to support him, may stop taking his treatment because he doesn't have his support system anymore. So there's a lot of different things that will affect your ability to prevent HIV and to take care of yourself if you do have HIV. And we need to understand what those things are. So the first part of our strategy is preventing new infections. So we're really focusing, because I mentioned to you at the beginning that of all those new infections in Zambia this year, almost 80% were among adolescent girls and young women. So we're trying to prevent new infections among adolescent girls and young women, and also their sexual partners. But our focus, we really try to focus on the pair, adolescent girl and her sexual partner. We're doing this through things like promoting the use of prevention methods like condoms, PrEP, and voluntary medical male circumcision, VMMC. Our partners are also using different testing methods. So not just relying on health facility-based testing, but if you'd like a little privacy when you take your HIV test, HIV self-testing within your home. Social network testing. So if you're a group of peers, you feel that they should get tested as well, having you support us identify your peers and ensure they get tested. So with this intervention, all of these interventions, we rely on peers with whom young people identify to support the uptake of prevention services. And one of those people was Lucy Masonda yesterday, who spoke to you, who speaks to her peers about PrEP, encourages them to use PrEP, and encourages them to stay on PrEP. And one other thing we're doing I wanted to mention, which I think is really important, is we've always advocated for lowering the age of consent in Zambia from 16 to 14, because that will help younger people access services more freely without constraints. The next thing we're trying to, I mentioned earlier about 25 out of 100 people don't know that they're HIV positive. So we want to find these young people and link them to treatment. We want to make sure they get on treatment. And how do we do that? Well, again, our partners work with peer educators. How many of you in this room have worked as a peer educator? Fantastic. How many of you have been supported by a peer educator in your community? What? None of you? Bodza. Okay, great. Well, we want to make sure that young people have access to peer educators, that somebody with whom they identify, with who supports them, can help them stay on treatment or find counseling if they need it. So for example, peer educators are really important. They provide mentorship to help young people who might be fearful about disclosing their HIV status. They provide information about where to find adolescent-friendly services. They can identify young people through their social networks and link them to testing and hopefully treatment or prevention services if that's needed. And then finally, to help young people return to and stay on treatment and ultimately reach viral load suppression, we're using peer-led models to engage young people again as partners in their own health and we also really want to make health services more adolescent-friendly. We heard from you earlier when you talked about stigma and discrimination or unfriendly services or bad attitudes amongst health staff. We really want to address those issues and make services more friendly by having peers who can support you from community to the health facility and help you navigate what can be really an unfriendly system. So a few other things we're doing is our partners are trying to expand evening and weekend hours for youth in schools or those with busy lives or jobs. Drug pickups within communities or drug deliveries at home. So for example, if you're not able to get to the health facility, how can we get your drugs to you and make them accessible to you? And then we're always trying to make sure that, as I mentioned, that services are as adolescent friendly as possible so that we can encourage young people to seek services. And they'll seek out services. They want to seek those services instead of feeling like they'll be turned away. So that's kind of the way that we're planning to work with adolescents and young people. But as I mentioned before, our strategy really relies on understanding your diversity and the challenges that you face. And none of the work that we do in partnership with the Zambian government or all of our implementing partners would be possible without all of you. So after this presentation, or when we have time today, based on what the schedule's looking like with the minister's arrival, a bunch of you signed up to participate in small discussion groups yesterday at our PEPFAR stand. And we have a number of our staff here who are able to talk to you about different topics of interest. So my colleagues Lois and Meenal would love to hear from you about condoms and family planning and STIs. What are the barriers you face in accessing condoms? How can we make condoms more accessible to you? How can we improve awareness and understanding of family planning methods? We also want to talk to you about, hear from you about PrEP, about adolescent-friendly HIV treatment services, HIV testing. How do we find those 25% of young people who don't know they're HIV positive? We want to talk to young people with disabilities about the specific challenges that they face, the very unique challenges that they face, about mental health concerns. I spoke earlier about a young man who said he didn't like going to get his ARTs because he felt alone and isolated. That's an indication of someone who may have depression. So we know that having depression can puts you at risk potentially of HIV. And finally, we want to talk to you about abusive relationships. So many of you here said you felt you can say no to sex, you feel empowered to say no to sex with your boyfriend or your non-regular partner. Not everybody does, and some people do have abusive relationships. And so we'd like to hear from you, how do we support young people who are in those relationships? How can we make services like post-violence care or post-exposure prophylaxis more available to all of you and support your needs if you've been exposed to violence? So that's what we'd like to do at some point, but I need a moderator to, I don't know where my team went. I think we're gonna break up into groups right now, into 7 different groups, and all of my colleagues here, everybody take a breather. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for us while we're waiting for indication? Yes, please go ahead. Young woman with glasses in the back. And please, my colleagues who are here, you get to jump in and help me out. I'm looking at you, cheapo.
Okay, so I have a question. If we say we want to make sure that youths and other people that have HIV and don't know their status should know their status, how are we going to work on that? Because when you go to health facilities, especially where I'm coming from, you would find that a month would go at a clinic and they don't have testing kits. So how's that going to work?
Thanks for your question. Does any one of my colleagues want to tackle that? Arlene, do you want to? She's asking if we want to find those 25% of adolescents and young people, how do we do it when health facilities are stocked out of kits for a month? So how do we address those challenges related to commodity stockouts?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so the issue of test kit stockouts, it's a real challenge. We are aware of it, and we're trying to find ways of really working on the supply chain. However, it's not always the case that the test kits are not there. Sometimes the reason people don't access these testing services is because of a host of other reasons. Some of them think they are not at risk. Some of them don't know where to get the test kits. And some of them just don't want to do that. So what we encourage you as young people is always try to know your HIV status. There are so many partners that work in different communities that provide these services. Please pay attention to them, ask the relevant questions, ask them where you can go and get tested. Most of them will test you within the community, and they'll counsel you. They will tell you the benefits of testing. If you have any fears, you can ask them, have a discussion with them, and, then they'll be able to test you. If there are no testing kits, they usually do get your numbers, and when the test kits come back in stock, they'll be able to get in touch with you and provide the services. So I think the first step is really to be willing to know your HIV status, because I think we are all at risk. If you're sexually active, you are at risk, so try as much as possible to access these services. We will have a session, like Emily said, on HIV on testing services. So I would encourage you to join that session if you would like to know more about testing. Thank you.
My name is Kelvin Mononga. So this question is going direct to PEPFAR. PEPFAR is regarded to be one of the biggest funder in Africa at large. But what are you doing, you as our partners, and how are you supporting the Ministry of Health in terms of mental health? Because in the recent past, we've had a lot of cases of young people committing suicide. How are you supporting them? And how are you also helping the Ministry of Health? Or do you have any programs that you are implementing which are very effective on mental health?
Thank you. So my question, I think I have two questions, or one question and a concern. So the question is, what is PEPFAR doing to ensure that persons with disabilities, especially the deaf, are able to access these services? I'm actually a psychosocial counselor and a sign language communicator. But from the district where I come from, if I'm not mistaken, the whole Zambia, we don't have interpreters or trained personnel who can interpret for the deaf. So from the center, one deaf went to the clinic for fun to find out his HIV status. And it's test and treat now. So he was tested and they gave him medicine without explaining what it was. So after he gave information to the friend, then they approached me what medicine that was. And I knew it was heart. So they have taken it to say, if you go to the hospital, whether you're negative or positive, they will tell you are positive and they'll give you medicine. As a result, they avoid going to the clinic. So that 75% that you've talked about, is it inclusive or you're just talking about adolescents just, or do you have any special program for persons with disabilities? Thank you.
Yes. Sorry, last question, and then I want to say we have a time in the group, so we'll have an hour within the breakout sessions to talk about all of these issues. And like I said, we'll have a session on mental health, abusive relationships, adolescents with disabilities. So we'll have an opportunity to hear from all of you. So let me just address the two questions I've heard. And then I'm happy to speak with you afterwards as well to answer any questions or any of my colleagues around the room. So I think to answer your question about last question.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Enoch Kalimbwe. So I just wanted to find out from the Ministry of Health and its cooperating partners, what efforts are being put in place to make sure that the peer educators trained are certified with the, are given the certification and the letters, or rather the competence certificate, like for the CBDs and also the commodity supplies to supply, to make sure that there is a continued supply chain and the continued HIV testing and treat in the communities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Meg, my colleague Meg here, is going to answer a question on mental health. I think, Meg, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, right? Still, okay. So thank you for the question about the mental health. So we recognize that mental health is a critically important issue, especially for adolescents, but really for everyone. So the ministry has definitely recognized this as a gap that we need to address. And so the approach that we're helping the ministry take is to implement a program called CETA. I don't know if anyone's familiar, but it's CETA, and it stands for the Common Element Treatment Approach. And it's a way to approach mental health issues, substance abuse. So it's really an effective evidence-based way of providing peer support and mental health treatment. And so the ministry has taken this on as the program that they want to implement nationally. So as PEPFAR, we are supporting the ministry to do that. And I can also answer the question about the disabilities. So we actually just met with I'm sorry if I botched the name, but it's the Organization for People with Disabilities, with the differently abled populations. And we met with the representatives. And we feel that really the first step is to understand the need out there, because we just don't know. You guys, where the differently abled recipients of care are. And so one of the steps that we're taking is that we want to include this as something information that we collect in SmartCare. So SmartCare is the electronic health record system that we use in Zambia. And just like we collect information about people's age, sex, where they live and things like that, we also want to make sure that we're collecting information about people's disabilities. So we can program better depending on the needs. And, we know that we can't have interpreters everywhere, but we know that they exist. And so, we want to make it available at health facilities so that, even if it's just one day a week in Chilenge and one day a week in Matero, we make that available. And we're really starting to recognize this as a gap that we need to fill. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Meg. And I apologize that I can't answer more questions right now. For the gentleman that asked a question in the back of the room, I'd be happy to address it. Unfortunately, because the minister we do expect her and we want to be respectful of the other things you have to do at the workshop, we'd like to break up into our groups. So if I could ask, so yesterday a number of you signed up and we thought we'd only have a limited number of you with which we could speak, but we have the whole room of you. So I'm going to try to do this as easily as possible. So if you're interested in talking about condoms, family planning, and STIs with Lois and Meenal, could Lois and Meenal just stand up, please, so you can see them? So if you could find Lois and Meenal in the room, maybe you guys could go over here. And if you're interested in learning more about condoms and sharing information about condoms, family planning, and STIs, please speak with Lois and Meenal. Then we have PrEP. There was a lot of interest in PrEP, and that's our colleague Mwansa from Zia Campaign who will be supporting that session, along with myself. So I'll be happy to sit in on that session as well. We have adolescent-friendly HIV treatment, and that's with Meg right here. So if you're interested in talking about HIV treatment with Meg, how to make those services more accommodating for you, please see Meg. HIV testing, closing the gap. Our colleague Arlene in the hat from USAID will be leading that session. Please connect with Arlene. Young people with disabilities, Carlos will be leading that session. I think Dalila might be joining him as well, but Carlos will for sure be leading that session. On mental health, our colleague Wantula. Wantula, are you around? There he is in the back of the room. Plaid shirt, red and white plaid shirt, I think. Wantula's in the back. Please speak to Wantula about mental health. And if you're interested in speaking more about your experience or the needs of young people who have been in abusive relationships, exposed to sexual violence, please see our colleague Chipo right here. Chipo's here. Right here in the black shirt, in the side of the room, black mask, right there. Okay, so we have until 12:15 for breakout sessions. So if you can find the people who we've indicated, It would be great if we could do that now. We won't all meet in this room. Some of you may move outside. Yes. Carlos is right here in the mask. Carlos. Yes, this is Carlos. Okay, so if you could start moving to the people that we've identified, please do that now, and then you can find your own space to work. If you want to go outside, if you want to go in the coffee break room, along here, anywhere you like.
Excuse me, can you please all sit down? I'm going to assign an usher for you with the topic that you want. Can you please all sit down? Yes. No, you can just get one, so choose. Okay. So condoms and family. Can I have some two ushers in front? This is, I'll assign you the facilitator. Where the facilitator? Okay. All right. So, yes, it's condom plus. Wait. So, could you give me the facilitator so that they are with the usher? Then they usher them outside. That's fine. That's fine. I think people with disabilities stay here. So these one are people with disabilities. Okay. So you join this group. Yes. Yes. Okay. So, condoms and family planning. You follow this one. You form a group somewhere around the table. So you go to that corner there, condoms and family planning. Those that want to talk about condoms and family planning, follow her. Go and form. Then prep. Those that want to talk about prep, you have to follow this one. And you go in the other room, in the next room. So follow her behind. And then HIV testing. Maybe you can go to that. This is HIV testing. So those that want to talk about HIV testing, follow this one. That side. Okay, so mental health. Those that want to talk about mental health can go on that side. This side. Mental health, this side. Follow this one. Huh? Mental health. Where are you going to sit? Outside? Okay, those that are going to do gender-based violence, follow her. No, people are not done. They're not start. HIV treatments can remain
inside. Apa? HIV treatment, please follow him. For which one? There is no group for abusive relationships. Oh, abusive relationships is gender-based violence. Chico. HIV testing and treatment. Oh, come. Where? She's gone outside. I feel like I know about all these except hmm? This is HIV testing.
Sorry, can I call out the HIV testing there so that people can come? Hello? HIV testing, please come here, come to this group. HIV testing. Thank you.
Hello. For gender-based violence, we are in the corner at the back. Thank you.
by a cousin. So the grandmother said, and she got pregnant. So the grandmother said, you shouldn't tell anyone to say this is what has happened to you. You should be quiet. Now people got suspicious, and there was an incident that happened at their home. They lost some money. So the girl was taken to the police. She's very young, very small. So when she was taken to the police station, her baby was crying. She was making a lot of noise. The baby was crying and the like. So the police said, who's the owner of the child? Because what had happened to the girl was hidden. Who's the owner of the child? Then they said, we normally abuse. We normally mpia. So this whole thing now got to be exposed, and she was asked questions to say, why didn't you report this? And then she said, so I'm just adding up to what she's saying. She said, so if my grandmother chases me away from the house, that means I'm not going to have where to stay. And this other lady again was abused by the uncle in the house. And then she was scared of speaking out, of course, because of the same issue. She doesn't have where to go. So I think even when they are helping these girls in empowering them with knowledge about GBV and empowering them with resources, they should also be a way of empowering them with entrepreneurship skills. Because I've observed that most girls would have, they'll be empowered with resources and whatever, but later on you find them failing to run their businesses properly because they are lacking that mindset of business. They are lacking how they can run their businesses without failing.
Okay, so I know we will have a lot of things to say. I have another question, maybe. And I have another question you can combine when responding. What factors do you think contribute to GBV among adolescents and young people? Okay, these people who didn't respond.
Yeah, my name's RAHi. I'm coming from Chikankata. From Chikankata. Yes, what I think, according to where I'm coming from, the factor that lead to gender-based violence, like what I've observed, being an orphan and poverty.
Poverty?
Yes. Yeah, because some people, not even an orphan, but some parents are lacking parental care, like where I'm coming from. Even if you try to mentor them knowledge concerning the adolescent things, maybe what we do learn from youth-friendly space, they just surprise, oh, you this and this, this and this. So they are lacking knowledge. They them to sit with their children, have more time to express their feelings or the challenges which they have. Yes, so it's a bit challenge. Then again, like when we come to poverty, there are a lot of people who are lacking things, like things like needs. Monga vo vala ivi chanchan. So when you see your friends, you're at school, you see your friend is wearing a nice clothes. No, I also want to have that type of a cloth. They cause them to indulge in such things. That's.
All right, thank you. One more person. I'm giving you 10 seconds each to explain. Just hit the nail on the head. Who hasn't spoken? From the hands that are up, who hasn't spoken? Yeah.
Okay. The other reason that leads to gender-based violence is, let's say, for instance, a girl child is staying maybe with the stepdad and the mother. Stepfather, yes. And then she gets abused by the stepfather. Other ladies, they don't have that courage to talk to anyone, to tell, not even their own mothers, because for some reason they're afraid of destroying the marriage of their mothers. Some of them look at their history, their past, what they went through with their parents and all those stuff. So what I would encourage all the ladies is, if any of this was to happen to you, believe me, it is best to come out rather than keeping it to yourself. You'll be killing yourself inside. It will be eating you up day and night, thinking of what you are going through. And then the person that is doing that to you is someone you consider to be a father. Because for you to stay with those people, that man has gotten you to be a child to him. You are a child. So how is it possible that a father would want to sleep with his own child? It really hurts seeing people going through that. So try by all means, if you see anyone going through that, encourage them to come out clean, because it leads to suicide. People die. Ladies,
Let me just control it so that we get all the responses to the questions that I have. Then I know this is an exciting and emotional, we have people who are survivors of GBV among us, so we should also be careful and cautious, even as we discuss whatever we are discussing. GBV affects all of us. It can happen to me, it can happen to you, it has happened to us. So let's provide the support that we can, okay? So let me just cut, just to deter, because we have a few minutes remaining. Let me just finish my questions. Okay. So, with regard to sexual programming, as I mentioned earlier, one key issue, a type of gender-based violence that has emerged now is emerging as the intimate partner violence, as I mentioned. And how does that intimate partner violence put an individual at risk of HIV? Number one, if you talk about women, it's about issues that Emily talked about. Your failure to be able to negotiate for safe sex. You have the condom, but you're failing to talk because the man is like, who are that? You know what I mean? You cannot tell him to say this is the condom. And also the man, because of your ego, you're thinking, okay, this is the Kama girl, she looks a virgin, she can't be HIV positive. How do you know she's going to be HIV? And you go in and have sex without, using a condom because of the ego that you have. Okay? He's laughing. So these are real life situations, and intimate partner violence has been proven to be one driver of HIV infections, okay? And that's why, like I was saying, we have now supported the Ministry of Health to adapt the live module, which will be able to screen and ensure that people do not encounter this kind of violence, because we have seen that it's a risk. If a woman cannot negotiate for safe sex, if she cannot even tell her husband or boyfriend that she's HIV positive, it means we're going to be putting other people at risk of infection. And also the fact that you're HIV positive and you don't tell your husband means you won't go for treatment. What happens then? Your viral load will do what? What happens to your viral load because you're not going for treatment? And then you become a risk. Okay? So those are the issues that we want to look at and prevent. But having said that, what are some of the services that are available in the communities that you come from for post-violence care services? If you're abused, do you have services available for you in your communities? Yes? How many are aware of the one-stop center? Marita in the conversation, and to interrupt the really great conversations that I've been hearing and have been going around taking pictures. It's really great to hear all of your voices and your perspectives on these different topics. Unfortunately, we need to go on to your next session. I believe you started some work yesterday that you'll be completing this afternoon, so we need to let you go for now. However, if you stop by the PEPFAR Zambia booth over here by the Zambia and AIDS campaign, we would love to have you sign up we have a sign-up sheet, and we'd love to have you put your name down for areas of interest, the districts you work in. Like I mentioned, PEPFAR is trying to find ways to seek input from youth on the design of programs, at levels of young people, how do we improve the services. Nominate. I want to go back to the guys.
kutoa.
To complete the work and to complete the assignments. So the ushers will guide you to your specific rooms. You remain in the rooms until lunchtime. From lunch or to lunch, you can break from the breakout rooms and go straight to lunch. You will be issued your lunch tickets at your breakout room. So please make your way out with the ushers to your respective rooms. I believe the advocacy login group was in this hall, so you can stay here. But if you're part of youth net service delivery or you're part of youth net accountability, please move on.
Thank you very much.
One, two.
Can we please go back to our groups? Those ones that you were in the afternoon yesterday, there were only 3 groups. The other ones were in here, the other ones were in Kazebeho, then the other ones were in Litunga. So please go back to your various groups. The ones who should be here are the only ones who were here yesterday in the afternoon in here.